welcome to our roundup of 2023. It seems an age since wearing masks was mandatory at certain exhibitions and airports, yet it was a little over 12 months ago in some cases. In most countries, we have happily abandoned those rules that remind us of the pandemic. However, many of the efficient and effective forms of communication that we were forced to embrace, like video conferencing, are still firmly in place. As we negotiated our way through COVID, one of the much-used phrases to emerge was the new normal. Does that still carry weight now? The workplace has certainly changed, although the initial switch to remote working for all has morphed into a more hybrid situation. This combination of remote and on-site attendance requires an evolving technological infrastructure, depending on whether the meetings are virtual, in person, or, as is becoming more common, a mixture of both. Footfall is returning to city centres, if not to pre-pandemic levels, then certainly to an improvement on a year ago, and the benefits of a more flexible work life are apparently here to stay.
Most of us are probably working in different ways than we were 4 years ago. And the way we worship has also changed. Churches, mosques and synagogues were forced to address the issue of live streaming very quickly at the start of the pandemic, with many using whatever means they had available to them to get their content out to their congregants at home. But most houses of worship will have some form of live streaming capabilities by now. So the question is, what's next? There are still worshippers that will prefer to stay at home, but are we getting to the point where it's not enough anymore to just point a PTZ at the front of the sanctuary? The way we worship has changed over the last few decades, and if you then factor in the impact of the pandemic, it's more important now than ever that content is being tailored for at-home worshippers as well as those in the sanctuary.
However, those that choose to stay away from houses of worship or concerts may well be missing the spectacles of the major advances we've seen in technology this year, such as more powerful 4K LED displays and ever more complex loudspeaker systems. There were some skeptics who thought immersive was just a fashion. Well, 2023 firmly dispelled that myth. The immense holoplot hybrid X1 system integrated into the Las Vegas Sphere may well have grabbed the main headlines, but the technology is now firmly rooted in consumers' minds. From 7.1.4 home recording setups to theatres and concert halls that are all steadily embracing the latest spatial technologies from companies like Adamson, Coda, D&B, L-Acoustics and MEA Sound. As a result, audio appears to be finding parity with vision, as audiences who've now educated their ears to the binaural experience don't want to return to stereo or even basic surround setups.
Travel and trade shows are certainly one area this year to have rebounded with a vengeance. While some non-essential business travel was curtailed following the Zoom explosion, it seems that 2023 was the year that people jumped wholeheartedly into travel for both business and pleasure, making up for lost time, using up stored air miles and hotel points and accumulating more. Trade shows in particular have surged back with an unprecedented amount of clashing events this year. We've struggled through the calendar like many companies, dividing and conquering to make sure we could attend pretty much all of them. And it's certainly been great to catch up with so many people face to face again.
Another hangover of the post-COVID era was the supply chain issue that blighted the industry, holding up projects already delayed by lockdowns, travel delays and absences. And as the lingering clouds of supply chain disruption continue to diminish, urgent deadlines have somehow been met or extended and the pressure seems to be off. Developers can now focus on creating the knowledge that FPGAs and Brooklyn modules are on the way. Ease of use features continue to dominate hardware and software designs, but the manufacturers will be the first to confirm that user simple often equates to extremely challenging R&D processes.
And as increasing amounts of hardware is bypassed in the AV signal chain, inputs and outputs will continue to prosper. Having been educated to the Internet of Things many years ago by Avixa, we can hardly say we're surprised by the events that are now unfolding. Some non-networked technology in between will be exposed to inertia, although some will continue to hold retro and boutique appeal. In fact, looking back over the past few years, many thought that the Internet of Things would be the next major breakthrough, pushing AV beyond the bounds of local networking and towards a more connected world. But this still wasn't to be in 2023. Instead, Artificial intelligence was the unexpected tech to grab global headlines, spurred on by the release of OpenAI's ChatGPT-3 at the beginning of the year. Its success has set many dreaming of new possibilities, and while the humble engineer is not likely to be replaced anytime soon, an uncertain future for many lies potentially closer than you may like.
Once again, the year has seen a steady flow of new appointments, distribution changes, and a number of milestone anniversaries being celebrated along the way. And acquisitions and collaborations show no sign of slowing down. What has been more in evidence throughout the year, though, is the number of broadcast AV and IT companies whose markets continue to move steadily closer together. So 2023 ends on a high, and with January's ISE show on track to be 30% bigger than last year, 2024 looks set to continue in the same spirit. Thanks for watching and for all of the support this year. Have a very Merry Christmas, everybody.